What's up, everybody? So I've been having some technical difficulties in making videos recently. They just haven't really been panning out. Um, kind of been fighting a program or whatnot that I've had, but that's part of the course, I guess, at times, especially when you go from computer to computer. And with this new computer that I've had for a little bit now, I'm just trying to get back in the swing with the program and yada yada yada. Basically, it's delayed me in doing videos in my already extended time frame for releasing stuff or trying to release stuff without taking too long of a break in between. So with that being the case, however, it kind of paid off here because we got some pretty cool reveals recently and then some follow-up to these reveals. So I was originally going to do just an initial impressions ramble for two different things, but now that we have some extra info on them, they can each get their own video. I'm going to save discussing my thoughts and impressions of the Lion in 40K, which is awesome, for its own video after this one. This is going to be my kind of trial by fire to see if I got things sorted out, and if it goes up and you're watching this and it's sorted out well enough, I hope. So as such, if we're going to do a trial by fire, we're going to need some armor. So let's talk the Terminator Armor Refresh. Tactical Dreadnought Armor, as it's more kind of officially known, is getting refreshed finally. So 4 years ago, I did a model breakdown video for the Terminator Squad and the Assault Terminator Squad kits. And I said then, which I still believe now, what is happening now is that the kits aren't bad. The kits are good kits, but they show their age and they are in need of a refresh. They deserve it and they need a refresh, and here we go. So I'm a big fan of Terminator armor. It's why the last armor I really played was pure Deathwing, because I'm a big fan of Terminator armor. And Cataphractii armor looks really cool, right? Sekhmet and Terminator armor, or Sekhmet and Cataphractii Terminator armor look fantastic for pre-heresy stuff. Some of the first Legion Cataphractii armor stuff looks really good too. I really like that armor. Tartaros is cool, but the Indominus pattern of 40K is iconic. This is the armor that's been around for years and years and years in the game. The helmet, I think, is a fantastic helmet. The lines are imposing of the model and of the art of these guys. They just look the part, right? They are iconic design, the Indominus pattern. So I'm glad they aren't trying to reinvent that and they are just refreshing it. So with that said, there's a lot to say. I have quite a few questions out of being, glad that this is happening. It does raise questions. And I also have some things to address that along the reveal of the models. They reveal some stuff in talking, or I should say in typing in or whatever, that I want to address too. So this might get a little long-winded, but I'll do my best. So firstly, I like the little sentence blurb they did that basically cements Terminators as here to stay, aside from the fact that they're iconic, and they've said this multiple times. That sentence is that both Primaris and Firstborn can earn the right to train to wear the armor, basically, to wear this Terminator armor, to be in a Terminator squad. It's not just Firstborn armor. And this is a little, perhaps, jarring, because we're so used to Mark 10 and its variants for Primaris only. But other people might think this is lazy, but I actually really like this for two reasons. A, it kind of brings back into a sense of scale of Terminator armor. It's massive armor. And B, it kind of helps cement the fact that no, this is something you have to earn the right to wear. Stats and rules maybe have been a bit lackluster of the past, but Terminator armor is the best personal armor you can wear. There's a reason why its more official designation is tactical dreadnought armor, right? Think of dreadnoughts and now you're putting that on a person. I mean, that's the idea. There's a reason some of the lore out there of olden times, which can be a little bit silly, is of a Terminator being stepped on by a Titan by accident and then getting up and dusting off the dirt. And you're like, so as I was saying, right? There is some silliness there, but Terminator armor is the pinnacle of armor for Astartes. And I'm going to hype it up a bit here, but it's also true. I mean, the raw defensive capabilities, you either have to use the best of forging techniques to make artifice armor just to get against basic attacks, and then you need to add something for an invulnerability save, or you got to put armor in armor and look like you can't walk at all and have Centurion armor, right? On top of that, what isn't so much represented in the rules necessarily is the power of this armor. It has got sophisticated sensor suites, and built-in aspects. It has life support systems, multiple things to protect and save the wearer. It has a stout power plant in it. It has the ability to be teleported, right? And you use this armor because of the relative safety it affords for the brief transmit through the warp for teleportation. It protects against hazardous environments from the radiation of starship cores, or engine cores, fusion core stuff, to horribly chemically compromised or poisonous atmospheres and stuff like that, in zone mortalis situations, all the way through to being the armor of choice for attacking space hulks, because you don't know how contaminated a zone is in a space hulk. Terminator armor affords that protection. It's such good armor that Custodes, which are above and beyond Astartes in their creation, and have really sophisticated, pretty cool, powered armored, awesome looking units, also have their own variant of Terminator armor. So that's all I'm going to say on that. So Gravis armor is cool, but Gravis armor is a variant of the Mark X power armor. So it, I think, helps cement the fact that Terminator armor is the pinnacle for these guys, and yeah, it's big enough to fit Primaris. So yes, if you're a Primaris force, you can field Terminators. I like this. It does mean, yeah, a Primaris version of Terminator armor isn't coming, but that's okay, I think, personally, because with this refresh and everything, the Terminator armor is fitting the bill. So with that, let's address the idea of scale creep. Because Terminator armor isn't causing scale creep, it's in reaction to the scale creep that is inherent in this game. It might be inherent in other games, I'm not sure, but 40k definitely has scale creep. Look from 3rd ed to now, right? Look at a 3rd edition Tactical Marine and look at a current edition kit-wise Tactical Marine. There's scale creep. Look at Dreadnoughts from then to now. There's scale creep. It just is a thing, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon your point of view. I understand the annoyance of scale creep, but to be honest, I like the bigger scale. And the Terminator kit that we currently have is last gen scale, basically. It's scaled from when it first came out, so it is not up to the scale. And they even said they're filling out these Terminators to be up to the current scale. So that's all I got to say on that. Let's talk about the models real quick, and I'll put all the questions that I have at the end here. So originally we just saw an assault cannon guy and a stormbolter guy, and they look great. And then we got a whole squad, a 5-man squad with the assault cannon in there to look at, with the sergeant and even a teleport homer, and everything's been updated, everything's been refreshed, including the teleport homer, right? So that's really cool. I like the power fist design. It's not redesigned, I just like that they changed it a bit from a powered armor power fist. It's not just a bigger power, not that it's bigger, it's not just a power fist in that respect. It looks a little bit more not bulky, but dangerous on a Terminator now. And Stormbolter still looks great. The assault cannon looks cool. In their second posting, which is kind of like an Armor Through the Ages history post on Terminator armor for the Indominus pattern and whatnot, they showcase and talk about the Heavy Flamer and a Cyclone missile launcher. They don't say anything about a plasma cannon, which is Deathwing only currently, but they mention Cyclone missile launcher and Heavy Flamer and show pictures. But then at the very end, they say, no squad's complete without their signature assault cannon, basically, more or less. Which makes me wonder what that means. I very much doubt they're getting rid of any other option for the squad. And if anything, it might mean that instead of having to upgrade a squad to have one, like a 5-man squad, typically right now it just comes with Stormbolter, Power Fist, and the Sergeant's got a Power Sword. Maybe that means that now it's 4 Stormbolters, the Sergeant with the Power Sword, the rest, and then 4 Power Fists, and then the 5th guy has an Assault Cannon standard. Maybe that just is part of the squad now. Who knows? But in any case, the models do look great. I do wonder how they go together. They're probably a little bit more clamshell than the current modularness of kits. What I mean by modular, look at Tactical Marines. Look at the current Terminator squad. The torso has to be put together. Then you put the torso on the legs how you want, and the head and the torso, and so on. And this is modular, which means if you build it just normal, it feels kind of static and not boring, but basic. You have to invest energy and stuff and try to pose it and not have it look silly, but also look good. But it affords that flexibility to pose how you want and makes weapon swaps and kit bashing very easy. Clamshell, think of the Interrogator Chaplain blisters, think of Primaris. They're more or less are meant to go together in a very specific way with very minor stuff that can be posed differently, like the head, maybe an arm or two. And what this gives you out the box is a much more organic, natural feel for a model, mid-stride or shooting or doing something. But it does take away posability. It makes it hard to kit bash and repose without doing surgery to the model. I'm guessing it's going to be a blending of that for these Terminators. I'm hoping at the very least the arms are really posable. Obviously, if you have a purity seal draped a certain way, you don't want to pose it where it wouldn't drape that way. But outside from that, I hope it's not like the top half of the arms are part of the body type of situation. I hope there is some modular nature to these kits. But I think it looks great. I can't wait to see more. They do mention that they're going to get new rules, which I presume will be new stats too. So that'll be pretty cool to see. So impression-wise, I'm a fan of Terminators. I like this new scale for them. They look really cool. I like these models. We even see a Space Wolf, an Imperial Fist, and a Deathwing Terminator example in their second post. And of course, the kits look cool, and they look cool in those different colors. So really can't wait to see more. Now for the questions. Firstly, stats, right? If Primaris and Firstborn can wear Terminator armor, my guess is we're going to see stats that make it a moot point to care about who's in it. Because Primaris and Firstborn have different stats, but it's Terminator armor and that can affect stats anyway. So if they're going to do it in a sense where the stats aren't mattering for who's in the armor, then it's going to have interesting stats. And that won't be quote unquote worse than Primaris, right? So that'll be interesting, and I think that's a step in the right direction. And I think that might be our first glimpse into potentially everything being Primaris, so nothing needs to be called Primaris anymore. But that's a ramble for another time. I'm curious to see the stats and rules, and I'm curious for war gear. One thing I've always wanted to see is sergeants of Terminator squads getting some real options. They have less options than a tactical Marine sergeant. It's unfortunate because the bits are there. So that'd be cool to see, and maybe something like adding a grav cannon to Terminator's ranged weapon mix could be cool. Just something to kind of spice it up. It's a refresh after all. Let's go a little crazy. Questions with this is, like I said before, about the Cyclone Missile Launcher and Heavy Flamer, I presume it's still there. I also assume Chain Fists are still a thing. Now, what's going on for the Assault Terminators? I'm also assuming, and it would make sense, that they're getting refreshed too, because currently they're kind of the same kit. The Assault Terminators just have their assault weapons in there, right? Their melee weapons in there. So, if they are clamshell, that would mean that the Assault Terminators are going to have different posed bodies, more than likely. It wouldn't just be the same kit with different arms. If it is, I still wouldn't complain, because they do look cool, and that's kind of how it is already. But I'm imagining they're going to kind of vary it up a little bit, so we'll have to see on that. But I'm just curious. I'm presuming they're going to be refreshed as well. So that's my question in regards to stats, war gear option potential and whatnot, and sergeant ideas, chain fists, assault terminators, and so on. But the big question for me is because, and this is going to go long-winded, is because Terminators are widespread. There are more than just those two kits. There is independent character Terminators, both generic HQs and special characters like Lysander and Belial. I was thinking of Vile from Mega Man X. I don't know why. But Belial and Lysander are two examples of Terminator special characters, right? So we have that, and we have generic HQs that are in Terminator armor. We have Wolfguard and Terminator armor as a kit. We have Blood Angel Assault Terminator kits, and we have the Deathwing Terminator kit, which can make Deathwing Knights, Deathwing Command Squad, or a Deathwing Squad. Basically, the Deathwing are pretty varied and unique in their appearance and stuff. Will these, and the Wolfguard are pretty unique in their appearance and capabilities too, will these kits stay sold? Probably. Are they slated for a refresh? No idea. I kind of hope so a little bit, because while I do like my Deathwing kits as they are, I have some Deathwing models that I particularly enjoy that are painted up, I really wouldn't mind them being scaled up to the current scale and having some interesting details on them still and everything else, and being Deathwing and Deathwing Knights and Deathwing Command and all that. That would be really cool, but you know, that remains to be seen. There's no information on that at all, and if it is happening, it's probably not happening all at once. So we'll have to wait and see. I imagine if anything like the rule books and stuff are like they are now, when, you know, Space Marine Codex or whatever, with those refreshes, if Dark Angels get a codex or a supplement book, whatever it is, presuming they're still doing something along those lines, if we're going to see a refresh, that's when we would see it. But that will remain to be seen. On top of that, though, as I mentioned, Custodes have their own Terminator armor. And they're supposed to be bigger than Space Marines already, so are they going to get a refresh? That's a bit of a stretch. What could also be considered a stretch, but I don't truly think so, is Grey Knight Terminators. They have the Terminator Squads and Paladins, which are their elite Terminators. And they have unique Aegis armor, or Aegis armor, if I want to say it. And it's got a unique look to it. Is their Terminator stuff going to get refreshed to this scale? Again, if it is, it probably won't see anything about it until we get the Grey Knights done in 10th or whatever, and then presuming they're doing everything more or less like that, and then we might see it. And I'm not going to leave you Chaos guys out. What about Chaos? Because Chaos Terminators are the Indominus pattern, which is the 40k post-heresy pattern, with spikes, tusks, and some mutations here and there. They would benefit greatly from a refresh as well. Is that in the cards? So a lot of questions, because Terminators are pretty widespread, like I said. And that's not even getting into the Thousand Suns Terminators or the Death Guard Terminators or anything like that. So a lot of questions in that respect. And personally, I think in an ideal world, we should see that. But I don't know what their thought process is on that. I don't know what their timetable would be, if they have any thoughts on that currently. And hopefully future posts will enlighten us. Anyways, that's all I got for you in this one. Went long-winded. Like I said, I didn't know if it would or not, but here we go. I didn't want to skimp on any questions or tangents there. I'm a big fan of Terminator armor, if you couldn't tell. So, with that being the case, what are your thoughts on Terminator armor? What are your thoughts on the reveal thus far for the refresh? I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be cool. The detail's great, as we come to expect from GW plastic stuff nowadays. Not that the current kits are bad. If you just got a current kit before the reveal, or you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about it and you haven't bought it yet, maybe wait to see when these guys will be coming out, unless you absolutely need it for a tournament or whatever. But my point is, the current kits aren't bad kits. They wear their age well, but you can tell they're from an older time period. So, anyways, with that said, thanks so much for tuning in and stopping by, and until next time, take it easy.